We begin today the Gemara towards the bottom of Daf Samech Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom of the Yamud, where it says, or 5 lines from the bottom of the Yamud, where it says L'dama dereisha. Here in the continuation of the Gemara, it's going to bring various different refuas, healings for different diseases, and also certain lachshim, certain things that you could say for a person that's not well. So as it's brought already in all the Rishonim and Achrayim, that the things that the Gemara speaks about are not really applicable today. And the Rebbe actually in the Sikha speaks barichas about the subject. Why do we find all these refuahs that are brought in Torah if they're not applicable today? And the Rambam actually also dedicates a whole perek in Hilchas Deis for different refuahs that are not necessarily applicable today. So why is that? If a person wakes up in the morning and he wants to learn Gittin, Daf, Samech, Tes, Amud, Aleph, all these refuahs, he has to make a bracha of Birchas HaTorah. It's a portion in Torah. How could it be a part of Torah if it's just refuahs and refuahs that are not relevant today? So the Rebbe then brought the famous vart of the Shalach Kodesh that said, HaTorah medaberes ba'al yainim v'reimezes b'tachtainim. What the things that says in the Torah, it really is speaking in the way these things exist in the Ruchnias, the Gesferes, but Lamaila. And then, in this time period, the way it came down, Begashmias, it came down this way. But really, all the things that it says here in the Gemara is the way it expressing something, the way it exists in its Makar Lamaila. And therefore, it's all things that are a chelik of Teres Emes, even if Begashmias, there's no application for it today. Okay, so let's begin the Gemara inside. L'dama dereisha. Says the Gemara, if a person has pressure from blood in his head and it causes him a headache, so what should he do? Leisi shurvine. So let him bring a cedar from a cedar tree, or boxwood, I think it says about this. Ubina, and also let him bring bina, which is, again, what? Willow, right? V'asa dara, and a moist hadas, which is myrtle. V'zeise, and olives. V'chilfe, and let him bring chilfe, which is tzafzefe. What's chilfe? Okay, I'm not sure what it is. It's poplar, okay. Yeah, wrong. Okay, poplar. And the chilfa de yama, which I believe is cloves. Right. And v'yavla, and also yavla. They don't have a translation for yavla. Okay, so you take all these different herbs, v'lishlekinu bahadi adodi, and cook it together. And then v'lintel tlas meya kosi ahai gisa dereisha. Pour 300 cups of this on one side of your head. A tlas meya kosi ahai gisa dereisha. And another 300 cups on the other side of his head. And it'll work. Now, if it doesn't work, or if he doesn't have this available, so then laisi var de chivre, let him bring a white roses, the koi bechad dora, that the leaves grow on one side of the stalk. Velishlekei, and let him cook it, and velintel shitten kosi ahai, and pour 60 cups of it on one side of the reisha, on one side of his head, v'shitten kosi ahai gisa de reisha, and 60 cups on the other side of his head. Okay, litzlichte, a person that has a headache on half of his head. So it's a migraine, that's what it translated, okay. So then, leisi tarnagoyle bra, let him bring a wild rooster, velishchete, and let him shecht it, bezuzi chivre, with a white coin or with a silver dinner. With a silver coin, he should sharpen this silver coin and shecht it with this coin. Ahahu gise de kaivle, and let the blood flow on that side of his head that hurts him. But v'nizdar medame, you should be careful with its blood. The leilismin aleine, shouldn't go into his eyes and shouldn't blind him. And then v'litle besifid above, let him hang this slaughtered rooster on the threshold of the door, the entrance of his door. The chi'ayel, when he enters into his house, chayiv bey, he'll rub into it. V'chinafik, and when he leaves, also chayiv bey, he'll rub into it, and that will also help him to heal him. Levrukti, which refers to eye disease, a cataract. Okay, so what should he do? Leisi akreve deshev chumri. Let him bring a scorpion that has speckles, different colors, 7 colors on it. V'neyavshe betula, and let him dry it. Let him have this get dried up in the shade. And that shouldn't be dried up in the sun. And then v'nishchoik, and he should grind it. Tarti manasa kuchle. So you should have 2 vessels of kuchle, which kuchle is brought many times in the Gemara. This is what's used for the eyes, eyeshadow, or different things that are usually put on the eyes. So you have two vessels of kuchle, and v'chada manasa minei, and then 1 vessel of what you ground up from this scorpion, and then v'limli tlasa mekachle. you should fill 3 mekachle. Rashi says mekachle either refers to taking the feather of a wing from a bird, and that's what's used to apply it on the eye, or it refers to a big wide spoon that you use to apply it on the eye. And you should place bahayena. You should have again plus a mekachle, 3 of spoons or from this feather on one eye, utlasa mekachle bahayena, and 3 of this mekachle on the other eye. But tfei loy lemali, more you shouldn't fill and put into the eye. The loy, because if you won't be careful, paka eine, his eyes could burst. L'shavriri de leilia, if a person has blindness at night, so what should he do? Neisi shudre barke. So you should bring from the rope that's made from the animal, from hairs of an animal, or from the tail of a horse or a potter or a cow, and then the neisa chada karamine. And he should tie it, on one side he should tie it on his leg, and the other side of the rope he should tie to a dog, and then the nitrefe yunuke achaspe abasrei, you should have a child bang on a broken earthenware behind him, and the child should say the following lachash. This is something that you say that helps the healing. And they should tell this person, asa kalba, an old dog, achse tarnagoyle, a crazy chicken, a crazy hen, or a wild hen, huh? A mad hen. And then, after you finish saying this, v'ligbi shev umtzi mishiva bati, let him get 7 pieces of meat, of raw meat that he got from 7 different people in 7 different houses. And they should give him these 7 pieces of raw meat b'tzinoyre de dasha, by the entrance of their home, and he should eat it b'kulkuli de masa, by the garbage of the city. Okay, and this will help him. Raw meat, yeah. Whoa. And basar hachi, after this, lifshoit shudra barke, he should untie this rope that he tied from his foot to the dog's foot. And v'neim rohachi, and they should say to him as follows: Shavridi de ploini bar planisa, this blindness of this individual, shavkinu, will leave him leploini bar planisa, will leave this person. V'lechre lekalbe bebeise de eine, and they should blow into the pupil of the eye of this dog, into the pupil of the eye of this dog. Okay, it looks like what this is doing is it's taking the illness of the blindness and giving it over to the dog. The shavriri de yama, if you have blindness daytime, so then leisi shive sumki migave de chivasa, bring 7 spleens from a freshly slaughtered animal. V'netvinu, and you should then roast it, or roast it. Achaspe de umne, in the broken vessel, earthenware from a person that used this vessel for bloodletters, for bloodletting. Okay, so basically you're roasting it in a very, very disgusting vessel. And then v'leisiv iu megavoy, this person that's suffering from this blindness, let him sit inside the house. Someone else should sit on the outside of the house. And the blind person should tell this person sitting outside, Havli de eichel, give me now from this spleen that was cooked in this vessel, give me to eat from it. And the other person that's sitting outside should respond to him, this person that's sitting outside, they could see, Sav eichel, that the hair, they sit or take and eat, and the ubasa, the achel, but after he eats from this spleen that was cooked in this vessel, litbere lachaspe, let him break this earthenware vessel. The iloi, if he's not going to break it, hadra ilave, it could come back to him. This blindness could come back to him. Ledame the asi minechire. If the person has a nosebleed, so what do? Leisi gavra kayin. So bring a person that's a kayin, the shmei Levi, but his name is Levi. The lichtev le Levi le mafreya, and you should write the name Levi backwards, Yud Vav Lamed, and that will heal him. Viloi, if you can't do this or this doesn't work, Leisi inish ma'alme, bring another person, v'nichtev lei, and you should write for this person, Ano, Papi, Shila, Bar, Sumki, Lemafreya. Write this sentence backwards. Again, these are all lachashim that have an effect. V'iloi, if it does not have an effect, so then nichtev lei hochi, write to him as follows: Tam deli b'mei kesef, tam deli b'mei pagam. Okay, whatever this means. I mean, I can translate it. Tam deli, the taste of a bucket of water, and silver water, or the taste of a bucket of tainted water. Okay, but okay, so lachash has an effect. V'iloi, if this doesn't work, Leisi ikre da aspasta, bring the root of aspasta, the ashle de puria atika, and the rope of an old bed, the cortisa, and paper that's made from rags, and murike saffron, the sumke de lulive, the red part from the branch of the palm tree, from the lulav, the niklinu badi adodi, and burn it all together, and then the leisi givov amre, and then bring a ball of from wool, the nigdal tarti pisilta, and make of it 2 threads, and then take these 2 threads, the litmish bachala, and soak it in vinegar, and then vinigadvel bekitme haden, and then roll it in the ashes of all these ingredients that were burnt that we mentioned before, and then v'neisev b'nechire, place it into his nostrils, and it'll heal him from the nosebleed. V'iloi, if this doesn't work, lechzi amas hamayim, let him find a stream of water, the ozlis memizrach klapi ma'ariv, that flows from east to west, and v'nifsa, and he should step over it. V'nekim chat kara lahai gisa, with one leg he's going to be on one side, v'chat kara lahai gisa, and with another leg on the other side. And then v'nishkol tine biyadi diyamine metuse kara desmole. Let him take with his right hand from the mud that there is under his left foot. Ubiyadi the smaller, and with his left hand, mituse karadi yamina, he should take from the mud that's under the right foot, and then what he should do is v'nigdal tarti pesilte the amra. He should have, like before as well, 2 threads that he made from wool, and v'nitmish betina, and let him soak it in this mud, and then v'neisa b'nechire, let him place it in his nostrils to heal him. V'iloi, and if this doesn't work, leisiv tusi marzave, let this person stand under the gutters where the water drips from the house. V'neisi maya, and let him pour water into these gutters. V'lishti alei, and the water will go on him and throw it upon him. V'leimru, and they should say to this person, Kiheichi the paski hani maya, just like the water flowing in this gutter stops. Lifsig dame the planya bar planisa, the blood flowing from the nose of this person should also stop. Ledame dasa mipume. If there's blood that comes up in the person's mouth and his saliva, so batkinan lay, you have to inspect this to see where the blood comes from. Begila de chitza, you inspect this with straw from wheat to see what it comes from. Now, isarich, if it sticks to the stalk of wheat, so then you know mireya kasi, that this blood comes from the lungs. And then vislei takanta, this is something that could be healed. But viloi, if it does not stick to the wheat, then mekav dekasi, then you know the blood comes from the liver. And velesle tekante, once you see blood coming from the liver like this, then he can't be healed. So the Gemara asks on this, Amalei Rav Ami, Rav Ashi, but v'hanan ibchetnan, when it comes to the halachas of treifis, by an animal, we see that the opposite is true. That nitla kaved v'loy nishtayre mene klum. When it comes to the liver, so over here it says in the Mishnah, when is the animal a treifa? Only if the kaved is completely removed. But hareya, when it comes to the lungs is much more sensitive. Shenikva, if it just has a hole, or shechastra, or it's missing some of it, so then it's treifa. So you see that the lungs is much more sensitive than the liver. Why here are we saying that if this blood came from the liver, then it's worse? Amalei, so you answered him over here, once the blood comes up in the mouth, kivin de mipume kaasi, the blood is coming in his mouth, eimer ismuchi isma. What that means is that his entire liver got dissolved. Rashi says the liver is below the lungs, and if the blood is coming up from the liver into the mouth, it must be that it got already completely dissolved and that the blood came up. So therefore it's a sign that he can't be healed. Now, Omamar, the master had said before, if we see that the blood came from the lungs, then isle takante. Then it does have a healing. So what is the healing? Mai takante. So the healing is as follows. Leisi shiva kuni, you should bring 7 fistfuls, mi pirme the silke, from cut beets. And v'shiva kuni, and 7 fistfuls, pirme the karti, from cut leek. V'chamisha kuni, and 5 fistfuls, prede, of prede, which is translated as wild cherry, according to one interpretation. V'tlasa kuni the talfache, and 3 fistfuls of lentils. V'kune the kamuna, and a fistful of cumin. V'kune the chavli, and a fistful of ropes. Ukenegdan, and corresponding to this amount you have is kanse patirte, a fistful of patirte. As she says, this is from the fats that comes, the intestinal fats that comes from an animal that's the firstborn to its mother. And you take all of this, velivshul, and cook it, velechol, you should eat it, and then velishtea basrei, and after this you should drink shichre charife, strong beer. the Tevis, that's made in the winter months, in the month of Tevis. Sagt Gemara weiter, lekocha, which Rashi says over here means a person that has a problem with blisters that grow in his throat. I think Taisus over here says that this refers to an issue with the gums. One second. Yeah. Sorry, I confused this. Yeah, okay. The next part of the Gemara is about the throat. Here, lekocha means a problem with the inner teeth, which are the molars, right? And the Taisus over here says chanichayim, which is the cheeks. So, Omar Rabbi Baravone says, Leisi Tuma Yechidah, take garlic, which just has one head, it's not made of few cloves, it's just one head, and then Venimrise, and you should crush it, B'mishche umilche, with oil and salt, V'neisve atufre de alyene, and put it on the thumbnails, Dahugisa, the kayevle, of that side where his teeth are here hurting him. And then v'nahadale gedanfe delisha, and you should surround it with a ring of dough. V'nizdar lebisre, you should be careful with the flesh that's right near your nail, the koshi lechivre. So don't allow it to go on the actual flesh, because it could cause chivre, could cause the tzaras. Lechinchi, if you have an issue with chinchi, so this is when you have the issue according to Rashi, where in the person's throat he has blisters. Omar Rabbi Yechanan says, so what you do is you take chumsi. You take chumsi, which is as good as mamru. I don't remember what chumsi is. Chumsi, huh? Okay. Pitrum, okay, whatever it is. So this chumsi is just as effective as mamru. But the ikra the chumsi, if you're going to take the root of the chumsi, aduk me mamru. So then it's better than mamru. And it's some kind of a herb. Okay. V'ninket bepumei. And you should put it into your mouth for a while. Okay, so hani, so this helps to stop the swelling of these blisters that he has in his throat. Now, once you stop the swelling, so the next stage is levishuli. If you want to cook it, if you want to cook these blisters, what it means is, Rashi says, you want to have the pus gather in it, so when you burst it, it'll all come out. So then what you do is, laisi pari dereish nafye, bring the bran that in a sieve comes to the top, because you have these big pieces of bran. Take these big pieces of bran, and also v'talfachi ba'afrayu, and then take lentils together with the earth, v'shuvlilisa, and take also shuvlilisa, which is what? Fenugreek, v'chumrese the chshusa, and then take chumrese the chshusa, which is what? Again? Hop blossoms, hop flowers. And v'ninket kam guza bepume, and let him put like the size of an amguza, like a nut in his mouth, and that will cause these blisters to the pus to gather in it. And then le'eftuche, if you want to burst now these blisters, limpach le'chavrei tachli chivarta, let his friend blow into his throat tachli chivarta, white cress seeds, begila de chitza, with the stalks of wheat. After that, once you pop these blisters that are on his throat, la suki, now to heal the throat, leisi afre, let him take the earth, mitula de beis akise, which is there in the area where the shade is from the place where they have the bathrooms and that they used to make then outdoors. And so take that earth, v'nigbal bedufshe, and let him knead it together with honey, v'neichel. And let him eat this, the mailele. This will be good for him. This is the only time the Gemara says the mailele, it's good for him. It looks like this is pretty disgusting. So the Gemara is saying, do this and this will be good for you. Okay, levarsen. If a person wants to heal sickness where you have the mucus that comes from his head into his nose, so then keep sikte the nishder. So you should take the psikte, which is a certain size of cedar cones of nishder. What's nishder again? Ammonia. Take from ammonia. Okay. V'chiam guze, the chalbenise duvshenise, and you should take like the size of a knot of chalbenise duvshenise, which is chalbene. Okay. Umali tarvede duvshe, and then a big spoonful of honey, chivre, white honey. Umali natla bas mechuze, and you should fill a natla, which is a vessel that holds in it a revius, which comes from mechuze. Chamre nekida, white wine. V'nishlakinu ba'adi adadi, and cook it all together. And v'chibashul, now when it's cooked, v'chibashul nishter, when you see that the nishter in this is cooked, the ammonia is cooked, bashul lekuli. So then you know it's all cooked. The ammonia is the one that gets cooked the last. And then that's when you know that it's all cooked. And then you should, what should you do with this? I guess you should drink it, right? Okay. If this doesn't work or he doesn't have this, Laisi revius the chalbe the isa chivarte. Let him bring a revius of milk from a white goat. V'netaife atlas kilchi karve, and let him drip it on top of 3 stalks of cabbage. V'nifcheshe begavze the marmehen, and let him mix it with a branch from a marmehen tree. V'chibashal gavze the marmehen. When this branch of this marmehen tree is cooked, bashal lekule, he knows that it's all good, well cooked. And then, what do? He drinks this, yeah. And then v'iloi, if this is not available, what should he do? Laisi nafki the kalba. Let him take the excrement of a dog, chivr of a white dog, v'nigbol benatva, and let him knead it together with balsam, which is tzari, and he should drink from this, eat from this. Yeah, but now the Gemara says about this, v'kama de efshe nafke loynechel. As much as he can avoid this, he should not eat from the nafke from the dog. The mafrik legire, because he can cause his bones to like break apart. The mefarik, that is, yeah, because it causes it to break apart his bones. Legire, if a person has gira, what's gira again? What?
Piercing pain.
Oh, yes, piercing pain. Right, gira is an arrow actually, so it's like a piercing pain, like from an arrow. Laisi gira de lilsa. You should take this stone that is like in the shape of this arrow. Rashi says that the stone comes down when it hails. The stones come down, and v'nivchi, and you should turn it over with the arrow upside down. The shape of the arrow, it's upside down. And then v'nishti maya lave. You should pour water over it. V'nishte, and you should drink it. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this or this doesn't work, leisi mimaye the ishti minayo kalbe balaylia. Let him take from water that a dog drank from it at night. Now the Gemara adds, but v'nizdai migiluya, you should be careful of the fact that it shouldn't be in an exposed place where a snake could drink from it, because then you could get from the venom of the snake. Now ligiluya, if a person did drink from water that was exposed at night, that a snake could put his venom in it, what's the healing for this? Ampeke, the chamrechaya. So ampeke is also a vessel that is the amount of a revius. And you take from pure wine, not diluted wine. Now, lemursa, if a person has mursa, Rashi says klug. What's this mursa? It's an abscess. So how do you heal this? Ampeke, the chamre. So you take also from this revius of this vessel that contains a revius of wine in it, ba'ohala, together with aloe. Red aloe and telana pirche, telana lepirche. Ba'ala telana. Oh, sorry, that goes together. Ba'ala telana with red aloe. Now lepirche, the libe. If a person has a fluttering heart, or if a person has maybe a faint heart or heart palpitations. Okay, a fainting spell, that's what it says. Okay. Lacy tlas burshiyaisa sari. Let him bring 3 loaves of bread made from barley. V'nishterinu bekamcha. Let him soak it in the kamcha, which is a kind of dip that they made in Bavel. Delay over alai or bon yamin, that it's not 40 days old. And then v'neichel, he should eat this. And v'nishti abasrayo, and after this he should drink chamre marke, well diluted wine. Now, Amalei Ravache medifti leravina, Ravacha of Difti said to Ravina about this remedy here, v'kol shekain de parach libe. If you eat this kinds of food, which are weak foods, it'll cause his heart and his faint to be even more. Amalei, so he answered him, you're right, anol yukre de libamri. This remedy I just said was for a person that has a heavy heart. But lepirche de liba, a person that has a weak heart, leisi tlas burshiyaisa de chiti. So bring 3 loaves of wheat bread, v'nishterinu beduvsha, and you should soak it in oil and in honey, and v'neichel, and you should eat it, and then v'nishtar basraya chamrachaya, and you should drink afterward good wine, not diluted wine. Letzarcha de liba, for heart pains, leisi tlas bey and inye, bring 3 volumes of an egg of mint, beis the kamuna, and 1 egg size of cumin, or beis the shumshimini, and an egg size of sesames, and velechel, and you should eat this. Lekeev mei, for intestinal pains. Leisi tlas mei pilpula, richte, bring 3 long peppers, and v'chol yoyme nishte mei minayu b'chamra, and you should eat from it every single day. Mei minayu b'chamra, 100 of it, for that the wine it was placed into wine. Ravin the Menarish, Ravin that came from Narish, Avad le Lebrate de Ravashi. He did this for the daughter of Ravashi, Mei v'chamshem mahani didan, with 150 of the peppers that they had over there in Bavel, ve'itze, and she was healed. Lekirtze. If a person has kirtze, which is right again,
worms.
the intestinal worms. So then ampeke the chamre. So you take this revius vessel that of wine, beatrefe da'ara, and with the leaves from this again a laurel tree, and that will heal him. Lekirtze chivre. If it's white worms. So then, Lacey Bizre Galgile. So then you bring the seeds that come from racket, some kind of a cabbage, I think it is similar to cabbage. Is that what it is? Racket plant. V'netayre b'shistig, and you should tie it with cotton. V'netayre b'maya, and soak it in water. V'nishtei, you should drink it. V'nizdar mibinisa, but be careful of the actual seed itself, not to eat it. The Eloi, if you're not going to be careful, menakvele lemaine, it could burst his intestines. Lemesa, if a person wants to heal diarrhea, he wants to bind his intestines or stomach. Sisin, retive, so you should take sisin, which I think is pennyroyal. You should take a moist pennyroyal. It has to be moist. B'maya, and together with water, and then it'll heal him. Lemishre, but if it's the opposite, if he's trying to loosen his to be able to relieve himself, so then yeveshta, you take this pennyroyal, but it has to be dry. B'maya, together with water, and you drink it. And simanach, a siman to know this is itze retive, grass. When you have it and it's moist, the sachanara, then that's used. Moist grass is used to stuff up a river. Same thing over here. Only when it's moist, that will harden, and when it's dry, that will actually loosen. The tachla, if a person has an issue with the spleen, a swollen spleen, Lacey shev beini demaya, let him take 7 leeches from the water. V'neyavshinu betula, and let him have it get dried up in shade. V'chol yoyme, and every day nishti, you should drink from this tarti utlasa b'chamra, 2 or 3 glasses from the wine that this was in. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this or this doesn't work, Lacey tachla de tziparta de lo yiftach, let him take the spleen from tziparta is a goat or a she-goat. A she-goat that did not give birth yet, and let him take the spleen and put it on the walls of the oven, and he should stand near this oven, and the person should say, just like this spleen is getting dried up in the oven there, so too this individual, his spleen should dry up, it should contract again, it shouldn't be so big. If he doesn't have an oven, let him put it on between the bricks of a new house, and you should say the same thing that we just said. And if he doesn't have this available, so livki, let him go and seek out and find shichvi the shachiv b'shabata, a person that just passed away on Shabbos. V'nishkele leyodei, and he should take this the hand of this dead person. V'nois ve'atachle, place it on a spleen, and v'neime, he should say kehechi the yovish ha yoda, just like the hand of this individual dried up. Niyavish tachle the pleni bar planisa, so the spleen of this individual should also dry up. Mefarshim actually discussed this last thing over here. How are you allowed to use the hand of a mace for such a kind of thing? You're not allowed to usually use a mace for anything. Okay, so there's a discussion about that. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this available, nesi binisa, let him bring fish, and v'nitve, and he should roast it bei nafche, by a smith, by a silversmith, or by a smith, by a blacksmith. V'nechle b'maya de bei nafche, and you should eat it with the water of this blacksmith. Together with the water of the blacksmith, and you should drink from the water itself, and that will heal him. There was this goat that she drank from the water of this blacksmith, and then once it was shechted, they didn't find any spleen in the animal, because this water from the blacksmith has such a strong effect that it congeals or it dries up the spleen to the point that it had no spleen left. Now, if he doesn't have any of this available, lifta chavise the chamra l'shmei. Let him open up new barrels of wine for himself, meaning he should drink a lot of good wine constantly, and this will heal the spleen. If this person has a barrel of wine, you don't have to worry about him. He won't come in front of the master to even ask for a healing, because he won't ever have an issue with his spleen. A person that has an issue with the spleen, he should be used to eating bepas shachris. If he eats bread in the morning, the maile lekule gufa. That's good for the entire body, not just for the spleen. L'rushchese, if a person has an issue, hemorrhoids. So then, Lacey akike, let him bring acacia, ve'ilve, and aloe, ve'isprich, which is
Quicksilver.
again.
Quicksilver.
Again, you can get that again. Quicksilver. Okay, yes. So the silver before right, it's taken out of the ground, and marsache is also some kind of residue that comes together with the silver. That she says they boil it, and this comes out together with the silver. V'chumres the piline. And also these buttons, Rashi says, that these women wear on their necks, that's made from gold or from silver, and they put in it all different kinds of oils and the besamim, and the vishiafa, the chamimte, and then the excrement either of chamimte, Rashi says, is either from doves or from chickens, and v'ninkit b'shachki de kisne, bekaite. Now, if it's in the summer, he should wrap it inside shachki de kisne, which is from flax, into rags from flax. Right, so the rags of flax are cold, so you should do this in the winter when it's hot, or the amar gufne besisve, or in the winter when he's cold, you should wrap it into cotton, right? There's a cotton which is going to be hot, and you should place this over there for the hemorrhoids. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this, lishti shichre marke, he should drink shichre marke, which is watered down beer, okay, diluted beer.
That's a waste.
L'shigraina, if a person has shigraina, which is a illness which is in his thighs and hips, leisi pasye du menine, let him take a vessel that's full of small fish, v'nigdere, and he should brine of small fish, v'nigdere shitten zimne, and he should roll it 60 times aha matchase on one thigh, v'shiti zimne, and 60 on the hips, v'shiti zimni, and 60 times on the other hip. Litzamirte, if a person has an issue with stones in the bladders,
in the urinary tract.
Okay, right in the urinal tract or in the bladder. So what should he do? Neisi tlas nutufaisi mishche. He should bring 3 drops of oil that came to kufre from tar. V'tlasni to faisa, and 3 drops that the itzre, the karti, what he presses out from a leak, and v'tlasni to faisi, the chamer nekida, and 3 drops from white wine. V'lishti leile ish ba'ame, and then he should place it by the man on that aver, and v'leisha ba'isemakim, or for the woman in that place, and that will heal him. V'ilai, if this doesn't work, leisi une de zike, let him bring une de zike, which is what?
Ear of a flask.
The ear of a flask, right? And v'litli leile ish ba'amai, should hang it by the man in that place, when his aver, v'leisha bedadnen, or by a woman on her breast, and that will heal them. V'iloi, if this doesn't work, leisi chute, the zahairisa, the shatse, a red thread, the shadise duma basduma, that a duma basduma, which is a woman that behaves inappropriately, the daughter of a woman that behaves inappropriately, and v'litli leil ish ba'ame, and place it by a man by his aver, or v'leisha bedadnen, by a woman on the breast, and that will heal them. V'iloi, if this is not available, leisi kine, the zachar and the kever, bring a louse, both a zachar, a male and a female, v'litli leish ba'ame, leisha b'isemakim, and place it by a man and by a woman in that place. Now v'chi mishtin, when they drink water, when they urinate, nashtin asisne yiveshte, they should urinate on a dry what? Dry thorns,
In a doorway.
bitzinoide the dashte, by the entrance of a doorway. V'na'ayin b'chumrese the nafkeminei, and he should pay attention to the stones that will come out. The mailul kulit simra. This stones that come out is good for any fever, that you should use it to put it into water and drink from it. It's good for any fever.
It comes out of his body.
Yeah. Litsimra. Now for a fever, b'ra, an external fever. So what's good for this? Leisit lase grivi sufli. You should bring 3 grivi. Grivi is a sa'ah. It's a pretty big amount of sufli, of date pits. Vitlase grivi atrav adara, and 3 sa'ah of the leaves of an ada tree. V'nishkaline kochad l'chodei, and cook each one separately. V'leisev binayu, and he's going to be sitting between them. V'lesvinu betarti mishichli. You should put them in two different buckets. V'neisi peseire, and you should bring a table. V'nanachila va'ilave, and he should then lie on top of it on the table. V'nekem mi'lavehai, you should get up from one table. V'loisiv ilavehai, and then lie on the other table that's on top of this that he cooked there. Or mi'lavehai, and then get up from one. V'loisiv ilavehai, and lie on the other table. Ad nesek behavle, until the heat of this that he cooked there from these things, it will go into him. V'lischi minayu, and he should. How do they touch this?
The vapor from the basin.
The vapor will go into him. And v'chishasi mimaya the adra lishti, and then when he drinks from this, he should drink from these leaves of this adra tree. But b'maya the sufli, but from the water of the date pits, he should not drink. Lay lishti, he shouldn't drink mishum the me'ekri, because it can cause him to become sterile. Now, letzimre gavne, if he has a fever that comes from within, leisi shivi buni de silke, he should bring 3 fists, or 7, that is, 7 handfuls of beets, buni de silke, of beets, mishev mishari, from 7 different rows, the 7 different patches where it grows in the field, v'nishlekinu ba'afrayu, and it should be cooked together with his earth, v'nechel, and he should eat it, v'nishti atraf adara, and then he should drink from the leaves of an adar tree, b'shichre, together with beer, oi invi tola, or from a vine, b'maya.
Grapes of a vine grown over a palm tree.
Again.
Grapes of a vine grown over.
B'maya, in water, right? Okay. Okay, I guess we'll stop over here. Okay.
Yeah.